Hey everyone, it's Pam and welcome to or welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about Quo Beauty, which is a brand that's found at Shoppers Drug Mart, which is a drugstore in Canada. They've recently done a complete rebrand of their products. They've introduced a bunch of new products, they've repackaged all their old things, the displays in stores now look completely different. They seem to be going more for that like light and fresh kind of Glossier type of makeup look now. And I've heard a lot of people asking about them, especially over on Reddit on Makeup Addiction Canada, and I haven't seen too many people on YouTube talking about them, probably because it's a Canadian drugstore product. But it's a brand that I've always sort of dabbled in here or there, and I was excited to try out some new things. So I picked up 10 of their new products, and I'm going to show you what I think of them. Now first, I just want to say these are not first impressions. I have been using these products over the past week or so, and for things like the eyeshadow primer, I've done quite thorough testing on them. So the first product I'm going to be showing off is the Miracle Cover Concealer, and mine is in the shade Ivory C2. I'm not currently wearing any face makeup, I've just put a moisturizing primer on. I have not gotten one of the foundations. I found that $20 for a foundation was a little bit too high for a drugstore foundation for me. Also, the shade range isn't that great, so I'm just going to be using this under my eyes to, even out the tone as well as for some spot concealer. Generally, I think this is a pretty good concealer. Just for context, I've been using a lot of redness around my nose. I've been using the Glossier Stretch Concealer, which is a very thin and very wet concealer, for lack of a better word. And this is quite different. It does dry down quite a lot. Not necessarily in a bad way, but it's not something that I find needs to be set at all. It just sort of dries down pretty nicely on its own. It's on the lighter side of coverage, which is actually what I prefer for myself, but it does do a fairly good job of covering up. Like you see, I had a little red zit here, and this is going to do an okay job of covering up that redness. Just taking a damp sponge just to do a little bit of blending in here. And I really like how this has performed. As I said, it is a lighter coverage, but I personally almost always get creasing under my eyes. I've sort of stopped wearing concealer all the way up because every one that I've tried has creased. I will say that this one creases less than most other concealers on me. It does dry down very nicely, and only the slightest, almost unnoticeable bit of creasing appears under my eyes after a few minutes and after it's had a chance to dry. So I'm really happy with this concealer. It's something that I would probably continue to use. Again, though, it is a lighter coverage, and I would also suggest make sure that eye area is nice and moisturized before you go in with it, although I kind of recommend that with any kind of concealer. It's just gonna keep the texture nice. I did find a couple days ago I had a little bit of texture under here, and it did stick to the texture a bit, although I'm pretty sure any concealer would do that. So the next thing I have is the Ultra Precise Brow Pencil, and this is one of those tiny little brow pencils. This is a good product. Honestly, I find that with these little micro pencils, I've tried the one from ColourPop, I've been using one from Marcel. They basically all work the same. I find them all pretty easy to use. Their staying power is good, and they look a little more natural than the powder that I usually use. But this product in particular, actually, you know what? I'm just going to do this off camera because I can't talk and do brows at the same time. So I'm just going to do this real quick, and you can see how it looks, and then I will give you my full thoughts on this. Okay, so I finished with the brows using this pencil, and it does perform very well. It's long lasting, it goes on easily, it's very precise, the spoolie is pretty good, But the problem I have with this is that you get so little product for the price. This is $14 and you get 0.06 grams of product. Now this Marcel one that I've been using is approximately the same price. I think it was $13 or $14, but you get 0.09 grams of product. So basically 50% more for the same price, and it works pretty similarly. I find all of these pencils are quite comparable. So I'm just finding that price per 0.01 of gram is just too high on this. Like, there's too little product and you would go through this too fast. So I would go for a more cost efficient one. The only thing that I will say is that I really like the dark brown color here. It is a very cool dark brown as opposed to the dark brown in the Marcel, which is a little warmer. So I do like the color of this, but it's just not enough product for the price. So next we're going to do eyes, and this is the Brightening Eye Primer, and it is in the shade Champagne. This is the only shade available as far as I can tell. I'm actually hoping that they do some different ones. It comes in a little squeezy tube, so you can just do it like this. And it's kind of strange because it is shimmery. I'm not sure how well you can see this, but it's a shimmery eye primer. So if you're doing matte looks, this might not be ideal for you, but it actually feels really nice and goes on really nice. I'll just show you what it looks like. Like, it almost looks like you've just put a shimmery eyeshadow on your lid. So I like to bring it up a little bit because I have some problems around my brow bone with eyeshadow not sticking properly. So if there is any sort of bare place that you're not covering with shadow, you will still be able to see the shimmer from this primer underneath. I don't know how well you can see the shimmer here, but the shimmer threw me off a little bit at first, but I have to say that this is a fantastic primer. I usually use the Urban Decay Primer Potion, but this is the same amount of product for less than half the price. It is $14. It doesn't have the stupid doe foot applicator like that one does, and it really lasts. My biggest use for primer is to keep my eyeshadow from creasing. I have very creasy lids, so if I don't use a primer, my eyeshadow will start creasing towards the end of the day or the end of the evening. When I was trying this out, I got up first thing in the morning at like 7 a.m. I put on the primer. I put on 2 different kinds of eyeshadows. I put on some mattes from the Naked Heat on one eye, and then I actually put some bronzer and highlight from a face palette that I'll be showing soon on another eye. And 14 hours later, the eyeshadow had not budged at all. I had no creases. I had no visible fading or wearing. So I was very, very impressed with how this worked. And I think I will definitely replace my primer potion with this going forward. It's just a much better value, and I like the applicator much more. I do still hope that they put out a matte version of this though. So next is the Stay Put eyeshadow, and this is in the shade Lavender Field. It looks very, very intense in the pot. It's very shimmery and pretty. I like this product, though I'm honestly not a fan of just single pots of eyeshadow. I'm much more of a palette kind of person, but this can be used in a number of ways, and the way that I really liked using it was as an eyeliner as opposed to an all-over eyeshadow. So I'm just going to put this on as a liner first, so you can sort of see what that looks like, and then I'll put it all over just so you can get a good handle of what it looks like. So I just go in with a flat angled brush and pick up a bunch of product on it, and then do a nice little eyeline with it. See, it works pretty nice as an eyeliner. It's not quite as intense on the eye as it is in the pot, but it still works well and it applies nice and smoothly. Now I'll just go in and put it over the whole lid so you can see what it looks like. So this is what it looks like. I think it's very pretty. It's very shimmery. When it says that it stays put, it really, really means it. It dries down fairly quickly. You have a little bit of time to sort of blend it out or correct it if you make any mistakes. But once it dries down, like, it really stays there. I use a micellar water to take off my makeup at night, and I had to go in with quite a few, like 2 or 3 cotton pads rather than my usual one that I would use for eyeshadow. So it does really stay put like it says it does. Alright, so I've just put that on both eyes now. Now I'm going in with a 1-stroke gel liner, and this is in the shade Amethyst. This is a very soft type of liner. Sadly, when I got it, I guess someone had been playing with the twister here, and it was a little smushed on top. But so this is a pretty good liner. They've got this in a few different shades. I'm just going to put this along the lower lash line right now since I've already got a fairly similar color on my upper lashes. So I like this. It goes on very smoothly, like it glides really nicely. I'm honestly not a big eyeliner user. I am much more likely to use a shadow as a liner than use an actual liner. But this is, goes on fairly nice. I do find that right at the lash line, it can clump up a little on my eyelashes, so that's a bit of a downside to it. And generally, I think this is just an okay product. Okay, so to finish off the eyes, I am going to use the Pump Up the Volume Maxi Volume Mascara, and this is in the shade Teal. It comes in a number of colors. I think there's a navy, a purple, a yellow, and then a basic black. I don't love this mascara, to be honest. The formula is on the dry side, and I don't find it's particularly lengthening or volumizing. I also find that the product is very thick, and it really sticks to the brush. If you can see around the base of the brush, just like how much product is clumped onto there. I'm not a huge fan of it. The color does show up nicely though, so if you're just looking for a little pop of color for your look, then this could be something worth picking up. It's also only $10, so not too bad. But in terms of like an everyday mascara, or if you were just looking for a black mascara, I would definitely pass on this one. So I've put it on the lower lashes, if you can see that. I like how it's sort of really cooled out the look of that bottom liner, and this is how I will use it in the future while I'm using it up. I'm going to put it on the top lashes just so you can see how it looks, but if I were doing a real look right now, I would just put black on the top lashes, maybe a little on the outer edges with this color, but yeah, don't love this as a main mascara. Okay, so I've just put the mascara all over on the top and bottom lashes, if you can see how that looks. Yeah, I just don't love it. It's quite dry, and yeah, I like it on the lower lash for a little pop of color, but I would pass on it otherwise. So the product that's probably the most exciting to people is the Featherweight Cream Blush. Very reminiscent of the Glossier Cloud paints, and I really like this. I think it works very well. I got the color Saint, which is the deepest color they have, so I need to have a very, very light hand when it comes to putting this on. I just need the smallest, tiniest bit of product, like that's it, like barely any at all, although you can build it up if you want to, so I just put it between these 2 fingers and then sort of put it up my cheekbones where I want it to be. And then I like to go in with a fairly dense blush brush to blend it in. I find that my fingers don't do a good enough job, especially with this deep of a color, of really getting it to spread out everywhere. So a brush is a better option, for me at least. So it's sort of just a nice, sort of natural flush of color. I'll put it on a couple more little drops just so that you can really see how it looks. I just really don't want to go overboard and start looking like a clown. So just a few more just up here. And blend it out more. See, I really like that. It's just a very natural looking flush. It stays on very well. This is probably one of the biggest winners of these new products here. I think there's maybe 8 different shades. I would definitely pick up another shade or 2 in the future. They perform very nicely. Also got a Lip Boost Plumping Gloss. This is in the shade Plump. And these remind me a little bit of the Buxom Plumping glosses. The formula feels very similar, maybe a tiny bit thinner. It smells similar. It has that same sort of minty tingle to it. Honestly, I think that plumping lip glosses are a bit of a scam. Really, they just irritate your lips with things like mint, so they get a little bit swollen for a couple minutes and then it basically goes away. I think this is an okay product. It's $14. I would like it better if it were $10. I do find that when I have some like chapped lips, it does sort of stick to those chapped areas in a way that I don't really like. But it feels nice when it's on, and even when the actual color starts wearing off, my lips still feel nice and moisturized. So I do like that. I just feel like for $14 for a drugstore lip gloss, like there's probably better lip glosses that you could get. I do like this cool look that I've made here today. I don't usually wear a whole lot of cool looks. I feel like most people on YouTube don't wear too much cool makeup, but I do like how this turned out overall. I have 2 more products here to talk about. The first one is this face palette, and I'm not usually a fan of face palettes, but I really wanted to try their bronzers, and I didn't like any of the shades they had. 2 of them were too dark for me, and 2 of them were really sparkly, and I don't want sparkly bronzers or contours. So the reason I got this was because of this cool contour shade up here. So in this face palette, we've got a very pale highlighter. It's got a really nice shimmer to it. And then a color that looks like a rose gold. It depends on the light. Sometimes it looks a little more bronzy. Then there's this very orangey blush, which I liked seeing. Not really a color I see in a whole lot of face palettes. And then this bubblegum pink kind of blush color. This is actually, I think, trying to be a sort of ombre in the pan, as this color looked different from palette to palette. There's also the very cool toned contour shade, which I like. It's very light and perfect for me, though probably not going to work for everyone. And then a much deeper, warmer bronzer shade. I'm just going to put on a little bit of the contour, just over here. I don't want this look to be warmed up too much. Overall, I like these products. I also like using the highlights and the bronzers as eyeshadows. I tested that out and those worked pretty nicely. Other thing that I've liked doing is taking this cooler pink blush and just popping a tiny bit on the apple of my cheek, since I focus the other one more sort of up the cheekbones. So that looks nice too. Overall, I do like this face palette. My biggest complaint about it is just the packaging. It feels incredibly cheap. If I ever drop this, I am positive it's just going to shatter into a million pieces. You know, for $22, not too bad, and I do like most of the different shades in here, and it's also quite multi-purpose. It would be a good thing to just stick in your bag, or if you're going traveling, and you can do a lot with it. Okay, so the last product is not going to go with the rest of this look at all, but what are you gonna do? It is the lip crayon, and I got the shade Autumn Valley. And this is another one of the products that I quite like it goes on very, very nicely and it feels really good on the lips. So I'm just going to apply this. There we go. It goes on so nice and it feels very, very smooth. It does dry down a little bit, but it still feels very comfortable to wear. I really like this sort of spicy autumn color. I love sort of fall colors when it comes to makeup, so I'm excited to wear more in the near future. But yeah, these pencils or crayons are $10 each, and I would definitely pick up another one or two of these in other colors. I just think they go on really nicely, they look nice, they feel comfortable. They're not totally transfer proof, but they do last pretty well. I wore it once and I had eaten lunch and I drank out of a water glass sort of all throughout the day, and I still found that it stayed on pretty well. And when it does start to wear off, it wears off pretty nicely. It doesn't stick to chapped areas of your lips or anything. It sort of leaves more of a lip liner effect as it really fades out, but it looks good throughout the day. It lasts reasonably long, and I really like this one. Okay, so just some final thoughts and summations. There are 4 of the 10 products I tried that I think are winners that I would definitely try again. The first is the Featherweight Cream Blush. Goes on very nicely. I would like to try more colors. This is $14. Also, the Brightening Eye Primer. I would love if they made a matte version, but this one is very nice. It makes my eyeshadow stay all through the day. I tested it for at least 14 hours and it performed wonderfully. This is $14, also another winner. I will be replacing my primer potion with this going forward. I also quite liked the Miracle Cover Concealer. This one is also $14, I believe. It goes on very nice. It has nice light coverage and doesn't cause too much creasing, which is something I'm always looking for. And then the other winner is the lip crayons. These are $10. They have some nice colors. They go on very nicely. They look nice and they're very comfortable to wear. And some products I think are decent, but I'm not super excited about. This face palette will come in handy, I think. I like the variation of colors. For my personal skin, this probably isn't going to work for everyone, but I like that they've sort of got an orangey blush. The highlights and the contours work well as eyeshadows as well, so it's just sort of a nice all-in-one to have. The One Stroke Gel Liner performs pretty well. I'm not a huge fan of eyeliners though, as I said. Also, the Stay Put eyeshadow, it really does stay put. It looks nice and shimmery on the eyes. I really like it as just a colored liner, using it with a brush. Just not a huge fan of a single pot eyeshadow, and when the color dries down, it really stays, which is both a good and a bad. The staying power is good. The not being able to blend it after a minute or two is not good, especially if you're less comfortable putting on eyeshadow. And then the ones I'm not super impressed with, the Plumping gloss is just, I don't know, the finish on it isn't great. For $14, I think you can find a better gloss. The Pump Up the Volume mascara, nice for a pop of color on the lower lash, but the formula is very dry and the brush isn't very good. Not a huge fan of this. And the last one is the Ultra Precise Brow Pencil. In a vacuum, it's a good product. I liked using it. I think it looks nice to fill in my eyebrows, but just price per gram of product that you get is way too high. These kind of nano pencils give you very little product to begin with, and somehow this one has managed to give you even less than you would expect, so I would skip it and go for something more cost-effective. So that's it. That is my review of the 10 Quo Beauty products that I've picked up and tried out over the last week or so. Let me know in the comments if you like any of these products, if there's anything I haven't tried out here that you'd recommend to me. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.